What up, church fam? How's everybody out today? So today, here at this pro-life event that we've been having, been interviewing people. So please introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Jocelyn Juarez. I'm with Oasis Church at the God's Gang Youth Discipleship. I've actually been there since February of this year.
Right. Are you from Carlsbad?
Yes, I've been here my whole life.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So you go to the high school here?
I do.
This podcast and video that we're doing, right? So what I like to do, this is just a bit of my vision, is I like to sit people down and talk to them about where they're at. So culture and church, right? There are two different cultures. Do you agree to that?
I do.
So church people don't really know how to talk to culture people. Do you agree with that sometimes?
I do.
So this podcast is so we'll address it to people who don't know Jesus, or even questions that people outside church would look at us church folks to ask. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
So how long have you been following Jesus?
I've actually been in church about my whole life, but I think when I was 12 or 13, I finally started giving it to Jesus more.
Yeah, what did that look like before you fully surrendered to Jesus?
I think for a long time I was really just doubtful of, well, think about it like this. The world is so big, and so I was doubtful if God remembered me as a person out of
good.
7 billion people.
Do you feel like that's common for a lot of kids your age?
I think so.
And how old are you?
I'm 17.
So you're definitely in high school, right?
I'm a senior.
Are you around a lot of kids who feel lost, would you say?
I would say yes.
Yeah. What does that look like? What does a person who's hurting, who doesn't know Jesus, look like to you?
I think it's a person who's not really sure who they are or what they want.
I gotcha. So in school, what's something that the school system does that annoys you as a Christian?
I'd say it's punishment.
Yeah, what does that look like here in Carlsbad?
Because a lot of people at school vape, or they do different things at school, like things they definitely shouldn't be doing.
Yeah.
And a lot of it's more just suspension than anything, like putting them into a recovery program or letting them see a doctor and professional. It's more like just stay out of school for a week, think about what you did, come back.
Growing up, did you have both your mom and your dad in your household?
Yes.
Yes. Do you think that is valuable for someone your age to have a mom and a dad together in the same house compared to somebody that just has one parent?
I think so, because applause to single parents, but there's definitely just some things you can't teach someone else. Like there's some things that only a father can teach somebody, or some things that only a mother can teach somebody.
Do you think your dad can teach you how to be a young lady?
No.
And I feel the same way. I grew up in a single home. My mom was single. Went through a divorce, all this terrible stuff, right? There was a point in my life as a young man that my mom couldn't teach me how to become a man. And those were the times where I got in the most trouble, because I was looking for my dad's love that wasn't there. Did you feel any of that growing up in a mother and a dad home?
I would say no, but I think there was definitely points in my life where I needed someone to just listen instead of just tell me what to do.
That's good. When somebody just listens to you talk, whether it be a teacher, maybe even a pastor, do you think that helps you tear down walls to become more vulnerable with them?
I think it does, because a lot of people are just more solution oriented than just let me hear what you have to say.
What do you mean by solution oriented?
Like they just want to solve the problem right away. It comes from a good place in them.
Yeah.
But sometimes they just want to solve a problem right away instead of just hearing the problem.
Hearing the problem and talking through it, right?
Yeah.
Do you think communication is key in any relationship?
Yes. Every relationship, any relationship, very important.
Do you think church is valuable?
Just church in general?
Like going to church?
I think so.
We'll start with that question. So what is it that draws you to church and keeps you in church week in and week out?
I'd say it's other people, getting to know people that are like you and people who share the same ideas as you. It's great to, in any hobby or anything in general, it's good to have people who share the same interests as you or who have the same ideas as you.
I like that. So we'll carry it over into the outside of church, right?
Mhm.
So me and a couple friends, we like to play pickleball on Tuesdays, right? It
Yeah.
would be weird to hang out with that group and bring somebody in who doesn't know pickleball, who don't even like pickleball. It would be weird. Do you agree?
It would.
It would feel awkward, right?
Yeah.
So, all that to say, when somebody who doesn't know Jesus comes into the church and we have this little country club, which we do, right? It's a new person. How do you think the best way to communicate with that type of person would be?
That is a good question.
It's hard, huh?
I have to think about it.
So me and a few of my friends, we sit down for podcasts once a week, and that was a question that we were all discussing, because it's really hard. Like, I feel like the church is here and the culture is here, and the church has been their very own country club for many years, and we're all guilty of it. I've been guilty of it. I'll be the first to admit, where you just focus on everybody in the church because they think the same, and you get to praise Jesus with no judgment, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we get so caught up in that we forget there's people who don't know Jesus, and we kind of don't know how to communicate to them. What would be something you would tell somebody who is unchurched? Like, say they just walked in the door and they're standing at the door. What would be the first thing you would tell them?
They just want to get to know you.
Discipleship, do you feel like that's very important in church? Because so every Sunday, right? It's a big gathering, tons of people. Discipleship is more of an intimate, a smaller group where you get to know people, make them feel valued, and listen to them, correct?
It is.
Do you like discipleship? Do you think that's something the church needs more of?
Yes. On when?
Like, do you find it easy to make friends?
Um, I'd say yes. I think it's easy for me to be able to talk to people and just get to know people.
If you could tell someone in a sentence or a few sentences, how would you advise them to make friends?
Be nice and let them talk. Don't talk about yourself the whole time.
That's good. Get them to talk and get to know them that way, huh?
Hmm.
So that's what it was, the value of church.
Oh.
So church is valuable. Why?
Well, it brings you closer to the Lord. You grow your relationship with the Lord, and you grow your relationship with people.
With people. Is it safe to say God made us to be communicable, to be in groups, to be with other people?
Man was not made to live on bread alone. Something like that. Yeah?
I like that. Do you think it's dangerous to be by yourself?
Yes. There's a difference between solitude and wanting to be by yourself.
Yeah.
There's definitely a difference.
So I was taught this way. So say you have a flock of sheep, right? And there's a couple wolves that are following this flock of sheep. How would a wolf have dinner for the night?
Pick the one that's by itself.
Correct. Do you feel like Satan does that he can get to people when they're alone better than if they're in a group?
I think so.
I agree with you on that. One more question. So our phones, all right? Everybody loves their phone. Do you think society would be better with the phones or without phones?
This is a hard question. This is what my podcast topic is about when I start recording next week. It's about like our phones and social media. And I was interviewing a few people for it to like start prepping for it. I interviewed a lot of people. Some people like at my school with like large followings, or some people with smaller followings, or even teachers and older people who have been teaching for longer.
Uh-huh.
And a lot of them said that yes, social media and like yes, like all this like attention at our hands is like bad. But there's so much connection with other people over our phones and over social media that they think it kind of outweighs the bad.
You think? Because we live in a society now where there's been more suicides now than there's ever been in the first 10 years of the 2000s since we had our phones. So phones are a good tool, but they're also a bad tool, right? Do you feel like people do dumb things just to get clicks and feel liked?
Yes. The ice bucket challenge. Remember the Tide Pod challenge from like
Yeah.
2013,
I do.
14? I think it was later on than that. Eating Tide Pods. There were people who would. What was another one? Oh, not the ice bucket challenge. It was something else. It was pretty crazy.
Or the can you chug a Sprite without burp one? Have you seen that one?
That one was just kind of silly.
It's hard though.
It wasn't like
reals.
openly harmful like the Tide Pod one.
Yeah, that's
There's another
true.
one I'm thinking of and I can't remember it.
Well, thank you for your time. I greatly appreciate you.
Thank you.
Take one of those if you feel like